It's the Tirconaill Tribune here, John Mackett here and Eamon McFadden for the edition of July the 1st. And we've a very busy paper this week. We've a very busy front page, as you'd expect. We have the lead story is Eamon Brogan, or Kieran Brogan, Councillor Kieran Brogan of Fianna Fáil, the Fianna Fáil Whip. We'll return to that at the end of our podcast. But in the meantime, we'll take a look at the green cap, and we're asking whatever next. And we're simply saying that as the farming community struggles to come to terms with the new green cap, they are left to ponder why new money in inverted commas could not be found to fund the additional eco measures in the farm budget. This is yet another compromise to keep as many farmers as happy as possible, but in the longer term there is not enough money in the programme to offset the costs farmers will incur to cope with climate change. And of course, as predicted, farm groups across Donegal have taken opposing views on the new cap that finally made it over the line 3 years late. That is one of our off leads that we'll come back to, that page later on. Also on the front page we have the story about permission granted for the Tirconaill Sewage Treatment Plant.
So that's a story that's been rumbling on again like a cap for a few years now, and that was first featured in the Tribune back in August 2018 when Irish Water unveiled plans to basically create a new sewage plant that will service the Rathmullen, Ramelton and Milford area. There was strong opposition to that from community groups, and that primarily focusing around the fact that part of this was coming out near the Brownow National School, where a certain amount of children go to school every day, and there's a lot of concern from the staff and the parents and maybe among the kids themselves as well. But that rumbled on for quite some time. But we learned last Thursday that permission has now been granted for that sewage treatment plant. So that's the reaction group who were, I suppose, maybe had raised the concerns about that. They're now considering their options in that. And John, I know you have kept a close eye on this in the last while.
I suppose my thoughts on that would be that none of us are surprised, really. What is surprising is, first of all, it's for 3 towns. Any new sewage treatment plant and development has to be welcomed, especially into pristine waters like in Lough Swilly, where there's so much sewage going in there, apparently much of it untreated according to members of the council. But to land such a development up in a very quiet rural location that is nowhere near a town, that's the Brownow community and the Rye community, I think that is a bit off the wall insofar as decision making is concerned. Now, I suppose they could have looked at the potential of having a separate sewage treatment plant for each town. Now you're going to have kilometre on top of kilometre, I think about 18 kilometre
there's a lot of
piping and pumping and all that goes with that. Nobody is happy about this, but where does it go next? We'll have to wait and see what the Rye Action Group decide at their meeting. That could be next week, because the difficult times now, the Rye Action Group haven't met face to face since February of last year. So it's very difficult to do these things.
Can't mobilise for them really, and I know they may claim of that.
You can't mobilise for them at all. But after that then we're moving on to religious matters. 2 of our best loved clergymen, Father Sean Gallagher and Father Charlie Byrne. Father Sean has celebrated the Golden Jubilee of his ordination in Garthahork last week. And we'll also look at Father Charlie Byrne's 40 years ordained. So nice pictures there from Father Charlie Byrne.
Lovely, very colourful, nice ones with parishioners and his family as well, his brother Francis, sisters Patricia, Teresa and Mary, who made it up for the occasion as well. So nice, happy pictures there. And as you say, like Father Charlie now, that's 40 is the 40th anniversary it is in the priesthood there. A popular cleric indeed, and a special milestone for him personally. And that Mass of Thanksgiving was held in the St John the Baptist Church, where he is primarily based, I suppose you could say. And it was a great occasion. He kind of read back onto the times that he was ordained a priest back at the tender age of 23 in June 28th, 1981. And he started out in Donegal town. He's moved around a fair bit, and that's from Lima to in Peru and places like that. But basically, he's 26 years now in the parish of Miva, and that's I suppose he's there. He's a very familiar face, a very popular figure. He was joined on the day by Father John Mackin as well, and a thank you on behalf of the parishioners was made by Brian Boyce. and he also made a small presentation to them. So he was ordained by the late Bishop Anthony McFeely. That's who ordained him there. So a nice colourful occasion, slightly curtailed too by the COVID numbers.
Absolutely.
Maybe far more would have liked to probably attended that event because he is such a well-regarded figure.
And he features elsewhere in the paper this week as well, at the official opening of the new golf course down there.
Oh, very good.
And
St. Patrick's.
He is a keen golfer, and he's pictured on St. Patrick's. We'll come back to that later, but in the meantime we'll look at Father Sean O'Gallagher, his career as he celebrates his golden jubilee in Gallagher. You know, can you imagine the kind of change that he will have seen in those 50 years from his ordination day? And they had a reception for him as well, insofar as they were able to have one. And obviously, he's been part of the whole history of the parish for many years at the Church of Christ the King in Gallagher. And in normal circumstances, that would have been packed to capacity and well beyond that.
Yeah.
But they had a very meaningful celebration, and he was joined at the Mass on last Sunday by numbers of other priests, Father Brian of Farry and Father Michael Herity, and were now live on the parish webcam. And the event was also covered by Noah T.G. Carr and Roddy on the Gate.
Oh, very good.
And members of his family, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nice tributes being paid to him. He was ordained in the Old St Mary's Church in Derrybeg in 1971 by Bishop Anthony McFeely.
Same.
And he celebrated Mass in the new chapel in Derrybeg on last Saturday evening, where he was joined by his brother, Father Colm Gallagher, who's now in Killybegs and formerly of this parish here.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
So it's been a big occasion for those priests and their families.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we're reading that out now as we're just looking at a notice there from the bishop saying that because of COVID, confirmations and first communions are off for the foreseeable future, and many families are just left devastated by that because
that's short
preparations are already made at this point to hold these things.
Their day is planned.
Again, their day is planned. Hopefully later in the autumn, if things do settle down, that they will get to celebrate those occasions, because they're still very important to people.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we will go on and take a look into the editorial, because the fishing crisis leaves the government all at sea is our editorial. And we're simply stating in our stand first that Ireland's lucrative fishing grounds have been cast adrift for generations as stronger EU countries have sailed into our shores and hoovered up our waters. Our trawlers have been forced to remain in port. They've been denied their moral rights and quotas because the big guns in Brussels tossed their concerns to the four winds, leaving this country all the much poorer. Our problems have been added to. Fishery policies have never been good for Ireland, but the Brexit deal has left Ireland much worse off. How the Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Charlie McConlogue, can confront that reality and can get something delivered for the fishermen remains to be seen. The fact that, I suppose, last year when all of those negotiations were going on in relation to Brexit, we didn't actually have a permanent government. You know, right throughout the spring, right up until the 27th of June last year, the government was formed.
Yeah.
Much of that decision making, the nuts and bolts of it, were already. It was really a done deal. Between the Killybegs Fishermen's Association and all the other spokesmen, they have made their views known long before last Wednesday's demonstration in Dublin, and their voices have not been listened to.
Yeah.
And you wonder, as a population in the EU with only 1.1% of that figure, you know, are we going anywhere really insofar as trying to get a fair deal, not only for them but also for our farmers?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
After that, we want to go back then to take a look at St. Patrick's golf course.
All right.
We have that here somewhere, and we'll just take a quick look into that.
I suppose that's a new. Well, it's not that it's a new links, but it's a remodeled links of Ireland's newest golf course, St. Patrick's Links at the Rosapenna.
Mm-hmm.
That's designed by a very famed American golf course designer called Tom Doak, and it opened last Friday. The Casey family, of course, are the family who've developed that hotel and links into what it is today, and that golf, I suppose, facility that has numerous kind of courses and training facilities and all that type of thing as well. And Hilary Casey, wife of Frank, the owners. She had the honour of cutting the tape before the serious business of playing got underway. So that was quite a significant one. St Patrick's Golf Course, just overlooking the bay there at Tremore Beach. It's a wee bit further up closer to Carrigart than Downings.
Yeah.
But the name, I think, alone of Tom Doak, who has designed some of the greatest golf courses in the world, apparently he had been very hungry to develop a links course, and developing a links course is a very difficult thing to do anywhere in the world at this stage. But the opportunity became available for him to remodel the two old 18-hole courses down at St Patrick's, and now that he has turned them into one. And so there's no doubt that that will attract the attention of a lot of serious golfers around the world, I would think, as time goes on.
I mean, Rosa Pena and the golfing legend around that, and around the Casey family is a real tourism magnet across the world. And the best of wishes, best of good luck, and good luck to them on
again, the photos look fantastic,
Absolutely amazing.
Stunning location, like.
Yeah, there was a very good photographer took those. Martin Fleming,
the right man for the job.
Well done, Martin. We're taking a look at one of our column writers, Anton McCabe, who in the last couple of weeks has been very incisive and totally accurate in his predictions about the implosion of the DUP. I mean, he wrote a column last Monday week, it would have been now, where he predicted the demise of Edwin Poots before the next paper.
Foresight for you.
This week he's writing about no enthusiasm for the North Centenary. And he simply says that the last month marked the 100th anniversary of the Northern State. And this paper is obviously dated the 1st of July. The Northern Ireland Parliament met for the first time that month. We do not know if there will be a 200th anniversary. The state was founded on the basis of a clear Protestant majority in Ireland's 6 northeastern counties. The first census there was, that was in 1926. Catholics were 33.5% of the population. They had fallen in absolute numbers and in percentage since the previous census of 2011, when almost the entire rest of the population belonged to one of the Protestant denominations. It's a lengthy insight, but very tightly written.
That's Anthony.
And Anthony is one of the country's most respected writers.
Yes.
And we're very, very lucky to have his input in the Tribune every week.
Yeah.
We shall now return to the front page where we have dealt with the confirmation. We're just dealing with one story here where Kieran Brogan, your headline simply reads, Neffet holding the country to court to ransom, according to Kieran Brogan. And he's had some very, very, very critical remarks to make. He is the chair of the Fianna Fáil group on the council.
And a publican too, obviously. He's got the right insight there.
He's a publican with 3 premises and literally shut down for 16 months. And I mean, he's just making the point that Neffet is holding the country to ransom and the bit of power has gone to their heads. Surely they had a moral responsibility to fully explain their modelling to the public, given the huge impact this decision will have made on the society. He has also referenced the fact that we're the only country now in Europe that has such stringent regulations.
Out of indoor lighting, basically.
And he has made very, very strong points here, and it's very hard to disagree with them. But let's take a look at the paper, go out and buy it, listen to the podcast, and we're also online at Tirconaill Tribune.ie. Talk to you soon.